something good happens. A relationship reaches a new level of depth and ease. A professional breakthrough arrives after months of effort, a period of life that is by any honest measure going well. And then, almost on schedule, something shifts. An argument appears from nowhere. A sudden wave of anxiety with no identifiable source. An impulse to undermine the very thing that was just working. A decision that, looking back, seems designed to return everything to a more familiar, more difficult state. From the outside, it looks like bad luck. From the inside, it can feel like proof that good things don't last, that you're not the kind of person they last for. But psychology offers a different explanation, and understanding it may be one of the more important things you do. The thermostat you didn't know you had. Every person carries an internal set point for how much well-being, how much joy, success, love, ease feels safe to inhabit. Below that set point, the system drives you toward improvement. Above it, the system drives you back down. This isn't metaphor, it's a recognizable pattern in human behavior that therapists and researchers have documented consistently, the tendency to destabilize precisely at moments of peak positive experience. To generate problems when none exist, to retreat from expansion back into contraction, not because the expansion was bad, but because it was unfamiliar. The brain, in its deepest architecture, treats unfamiliarity as risk, and peak happiness, sustained, genuine, unguarded happiness, can be profoundly unfamiliar for people who didn't grow up experiencing it as a stable state. So the system corrects, not because you're broken, because you're operating exactly as conditioned, where the ceiling came from. The set point didn't appear from nowhere. It was built gradually through experiences that taught you specific lessons about what level of happiness is sustainable, appropriate, or safe. For many people, those lessons arrived through family dynamics. When you grew up in a household where struggle was the baseline financially, emotionally, relationally, joy at a different level can trigger a subtle but powerful form of disloyalty, not consciously. But underneath conscious thought, a part of you registers. The people I love are still in that struggle. If I leave it behind, something about our bond changes. If I succeed where they didn't, something gets broken. This is what some psychologists describe as the loyal soldier complex, the unconscious decision to stay within the emotional range of the people you came from. To keep yourself small enough that your happiness doesn't become a source of distance or resentment in the relationships that matter most to you. It's not weakness, it's loyalty operating in a domain it was never meant to govern. There's also the simpler, more direct version, the labels assigned to you early, the expectations spoken and unspoken about what kind of person you were, what you were capable of, how far you'd go. These early blueprints don't disappear when you outgrow them. They become the architecture against which your nervous system measures every new level of achievement and triggers discomfort when you exceed what the blueprint said was possible. What the crash actually looks like. Once you know the pattern, you can begin to see it in real time, and it tends to appear in recognizable forms. The unnecessary conflict that erupts days after a significant professional win when everything in the relationship was, until that moment, stable. The sudden onset of anxiety or physical symptoms immediately following a period of creative or financial breakthrough. The financial decision, the impulse purchase, the overlooked opportunity, the inexplicable inaction that returns the situation to a level of scarcity that feels more honest than abundance. And then there is worry, which deserves particular attention because it's so easy to mistake for responsibility. Worry in this context functions as a dampener. When positive energy rises above the set point, the mind begins generating concerns, often real concerns, but suddenly and urgently, prioritized in a way that has more to do with emotional regulation than with genuine problem solving. The worrying brings the emotional state back down to a manageable level. The threat is neutralized. The familiar baseline is restored. It works. That's why it persists. Recalibrating what's possible. The set point is not permanent, but shifting it requires something more than understanding it intellectually because the pattern doesn't operate at the level of conscious thought. The first practice is physical. When something genuinely good happens, a moment of real pride, real joy, real ease, notice what happens in your body. Most people, if they pay attention, will find a subtle contraction, a breath held slightly shorter, a tension somewhere that doesn't match the external situation. That contraction is the set point enforcing itself. The practice is not to eliminate the contraction, it's to stay in the positive experience slightly longer than your nervous system wants you to. To not immediately redirect to the next task, the next problem, the next thing to manage, to let the good moment last 10 seconds longer than feels entirely comfortable. This sounds small, the neurological effect is not. The second shift is in the narrative. Most people who experience this pattern have framed happiness as something to earn a reward at the end of sufficient struggle, justifiable only after adequate sacrifice. The reframe isn't to abandon effort, it's to decouple effort from permission, to stop treating your own well being as something that needs to be deserved before it's allowed to exist. You do not need to earn the right to feel good. You need to practice tolerating it, living past the old limit. Here is what becomes possible when the set point begins to shift. The good period stops feeling like a countdown to a crash. The success stops feeling like a fluke that will be exposed. The ease stops feeling like naivety, like you've simply failed to notice the problem that's coming. This is not optimism in the motivational sense. It's a genuinely different relationship with your own life, one in which high positive experience is no longer treated as a deviation from your natural state, but as the state itself. The people around you matter in this, not because you need external validation, but because proximity shapes set points. People who treat achievement as normal, who celebrate without guilt, who inhabit their success without apology, recalibrate what's possible by simply existing in your environment. Not everyone in your current circle may be able to hold that space for you. That's worth knowing without judgment. And finally, attention to what is already good, practiced consistently and specifically, strengthens the nervous system against the impulse to return to struggle. Not because gratitude is a magic formula, but because deliberately registering positive experience changes the brain's baseline calculation of what the normal range of experience looks like. The ceiling is not structural, it's learned, and what's learned can be revised. The next time something goes well, genuinely, unexpectedly, abundantly well, watch what happens. Watch for the impulse to find the problem, the urge to qualify the success, the sudden appearance of an argument or an anxiety that has no business being there. And when you notice it, don't judge it. Just recognize it for what it is. The thermostat doing its job. A system running old code. A part of you that was taught somewhere along the way that this level of good was not where you belong.